What's going on, everybody? We're back. About the Touts is back, fresh off of a new episode where I feel like we lost two heavy hitters in this one, which I guess we're at the point in the contest where every time we lose somebody, it's a heavy hitter. But we're here with our man Goofy Chicken, who honestly, this got to be like one of the more iconic, not even so you think you could tout episodes, but after episodes. That was just bonkers. But first, like, man, how are we doing? How are we feeling post elimination? Where are we at right now?
Hey, I'm starting to get over it. It
Yeah.
was a tough out. I wish I was still in the competition. I wish I was still going at it, but I'm real with myself. It was time to go based upon performance, and I'm sure we'll get into that during the show.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this has happened for a couple of contestants, and you never know how the voting's going to go. But where you get through the competition, and a lot of the dialogue is just like, yeah, man, I love this dude. This dude's great. This dude should cook. But this wasn't it for him in this episode. And then it's like when that happens, you're like, oh shit. Well, I hope I can survive to continue to prove like where I'm at. But did you feel that way in this episode or even in previous episodes where you're like, this was not the best representation of who I am? Like, and then what was that like, that thought process like?
It hurt, man, especially when you come in hot like I did with the intro video. It's like coming in as the number one seed in the tournament and losing in the second round,
Right.
So it really hurts. It really does something to your ego a little bit, your confidence a little bit, but nothing that you can't build back up over time. I was still proud and happy to get the opportunity, and it definitely slingshot me and my channel further as we move on.
Yeah, have you been seeing that actually? Like, that's something I haven't asked anybody. Have you been seeing like channel number or like subs go up, viewers go up
Definitely.
since starting? Yeah.
Definitely. There's no doubt about it, man. Anytime that somebody else is gracious enough to bless you and let you get on their platform, I've been taking advantage of it ever since, making sure that I'm pumping out content on my channel, Goofy Chicken Fantasy on YouTube.
Here we go.
Wow, I'm on So You Think You Can Tell.
Dude, I got to tell you, one of my favorite things, and I'd messaged Pete about this maybe like a week or two ago, but like one of my favorite things from this competition that I've seen, outside of like, a couple of people going at each other's throats, for the most part, everybody's just been like, hey, why don't you come on my channel? And like, and there's been a lot of like cross-pollination of people either getting guested on someone else's show, bringing people onto the show. And I think, man, that's just like a cool community thing that's been happening from this.
Yeah. The cross-pollination has definitely been happening. Best ball is a small community, so we're only cross-pollinating amongst probably 5,000 to 10,000 people. Yeah. But we're cross-pollinating. It is fun to build out a community. I see some people in the chat right now that I recognize, and it's a small community, but there's one thing for sure: it's growing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. And I think more stuff like the So You Think You Can Tell puts more eyeballs on other creators, because I do think you get in that habit of like watching the same people over and over again, and then you don't really expand the palette a little bit.
Yeah.
So I guess one of the things I want this is what I wanted to get to too, because you mentioned this, and I think this was kind of important. I think when you come in really hot, it's a little bit harder to continue to gain momentum, because versus like someone who maybe just squeezed in. And I think like a good example of this is kind of Nathaniel. And I know like you guys went head to head there at the end, but he's someone who I feel like barely squeaked in. So the bar is almost a little bit lower as you go. You know what I'm saying? Where like it's easier to pick up momentum.
Yeah, like I mentioned, man, when you're coming in hot, like I did, like PPR Tyler did, the pressure is up there. And then, you got the people that are expecting a lot of things from you. You see them. I'm going to be honest. I read the comments on X. I read the comments on YouTube. And, some of them are great, but there are some of them out there like, cluck you, bro. Like, you don't know how hard it is to do this.
Man, that was something that I didn't really consider when this started. I mean, like, I'm doing my own content. Like, I know like the battle it can be sometimes in the comments, but almost like when you're streaming and you see stuff in the comments, I think that's like a different experience than when like you have put something out there and then you're just seeing like random people chime in on X about something. both like positively that could probably fill your cup in a way that it shouldn't, but also like the negative stuff too. I really do think that can be a tricky thing to manage, like especially if you've never done anything like public facing before to start like that. I feel like that could mess with the brain.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, you're right. And this is the thing, like most of us start our channel from the bottom, 9 subscribers. You can mess up with 9 subscribers. Nobody's going to see it. But when you're out here trying to make content for people, 20,000 Peter Overzet audience, and you haven't had the reps for 20,000 people, you should really be making content for the 10 or 15 subscribers you got back at home. But, you know, I made myself vulnerable. I put myself in that position. I opened myself up to a bigger audience. Then maybe I don't want to discredit myself, but maybe that audience was too big for me, and maybe I just needed a few more reps on my small 330 subscriber channel at Goofy Chicken Fantasy on YouTube.
There we go. We're gonna link. We for sure gonna link that. Yeah, but you know, it's funny because I do think there, like, the positive of that is I do think it like helps the growth process pretty quickly, both like in numbers, but also just in performance. Because then because in real time you're not only evaluating your performance, but you're also seeing a bunch of other similar type creators put in similar situations, and you're like, oh, this is how so and so would approach this, and you kind of see what works, what doesn't work, things that, and maybe it works, but it's not like your style. So you're like, I'm not going to pull any of that, but like find other things that you're seeing from people being like, oh, I should like take some of that, bring some of that to what I'm doing here. I'm seeing Emo in the chat too is saying the negative stuff has been plenty, and it's been tough to deal with as someone who's been public, who have had plenty of public hate for 5+ years. So yeah, doing it on a huge platform, to what you were saying too, is a different breed.
Sure.
Yeah. And I mean, for sure, there's good stuff. Like, I know you guys are getting pumped up in the comments too, but I mean, like anything, we stick on to the stuff that hurts more than the stuff that helps, where it's just easier to grasp onto those.
I mean, but that's part of being, Peter wanted to create a reality show. Part of creating a reality show is critical engagement. I don't care what reality show you're looking at. If you signed up for it, and I'm sure that everybody who signed up to be on So You Think You Could Tout knew that there was going to be critics for the show, because those are the people that help push and move the show. So it's expected, but at the same time, it can be tough to read sometimes. You know, because, you know, I don't think, I'm not going to speak for them, but they may not understand the pressure it comes to create content on command.
Right. Well, and I mean, it's easy for the logical part of your brain to be like, oh, this is just part of the show. Like, I know this is going to happen, but it's still like we're all human beings. So even when you read that stuff over and over again, at some point it starts digging at you a little bit, and you really have to work to just not allow it to. But you're right. There's a sense of vulnerability that comes to creating this stuff. One of the things I want to ask you too, and we can talk about the specific episode itself, but I was actually in Peter's home while you were doing the after show, because we were going to the World Cup the next day. And I, as a consumer, that after show was just like beautiful, and I could have watched that for like 4 hours. But something I don't think I really took into consideration was like where both for you and Nathaniel, like your heads are at when you're doing something like that, where you're coming off this episode, you knew going into this after show that you're kind of on the chopping block. What were the vibes for you personally going into that?
It was tense, but I really wasn't trying to take shots at Nathaniel. I definitely wasn't going to take shots at Miss Marilyn. That's just, I'm a gentleman. I'm not going to do that, you know? But it's tense, man. I didn't expect for it to be get nasty, and I don't think it did. No. I think it stayed respectful. It was well put together. Shout out to Nathaniel. Shout out to Miss Marilyn. They won the vote, and I'm looking forward. I worked with Nathaniel. So I worked with Nathaniel. I worked with the commission. Anybody that I worked with, I want to see get to the very end.
Yeah. Yeah. And I thought, because I've talked a little bit about this with some of like when the negativity between contestants gets fired away. I do think that is a tough needle to thread, because you are trying to obviously progress and stand out and make sure that you are still in the competition. But at the same, but at the same time, I think when you are like lobbing shots, if it is not taken well, it can do way more damage to you than good. And I thought both of you guys handled that really well
Yeah.
in the after show.
Well, you saw two examples of people, taking shots, as we said, taking shots. You saw Zach get rid of Hartman. You saw PPR get rid of BBG. And it came back and bit him in the ass. Let's be honest. So you have to build some type of camaraderie there. And camaraderie amongst the contestants is one of the main reasons that the commish is still on the show.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's right. I think that's a really good point. I think that is a really good point. I think we got to talk a little bit about who you brought on as your representative for that show too, because that to me, and I was talking to Pete after when he came up, he was like, I cannot believe and he said this on stream. He cannot believe that you guys had like met via like the content, and they through your streaming, and that was. The chemistry there was incredible. You couldn't have designed a better show. You probably could have designed a better supporter in real time.
Right.
But for content purposes, man, and it's Centec, right? That's
Syntax. Yeah.
Text. And I mean, holy shit, man, that was incredible,
bro. Like, and that's what I'm saying. There is. I talked to Peter about it. I'm not going to gatekeep. If I see talent in my chat, then I want them on the show.
Absolutely.
Because if you're lively in the chat, then you're going to be lively on the show. I kind of got lucky because the relationship has been even better than what I had expected. I had expected for him to come on one time and we draft together, and then I'd never see him again. But we're going on 5. We're going on 6 times. He's turned into a co-host. Or Goofy Chicken Fantasy. We're talking about how we can make this show better, right? So a shout out to Syntax. He loves best ball. The people love him. I didn't necessarily know that Peter didn't know that this was an internet relationship, or internet duo, I should say. But yeah, man, there's some talented people out there in the chats. You just got to go looking for them, man.
Yeah, no, it was really good. And honestly, and this is true for a lot of the creators, because again, I come from like the basketball background, so I'm like knee deep in hoops, and now just starting to get my football bearings. So I get caught up on like the creators a little bit later. So I really was introduced to you through this contest, and when I saw you guys, and I mean like checked out some stuff since then, but when I saw you guys on there together, I was like, oh, this will be appointment viewing from here on out. When you guys work together, because that's like just great. That was great chemistry, and I think you could do a lot of really fun stuff in that space. And honestly, I wanted you to talk a little bit more too, because you brought this up in the after show about bringing different people to the space, like as like either just community members, as viewers, or maybe as like contributors in the way that Syntax has come on. But I thought that was like an interesting take that we haven't really heard much of from other creators. I didn't know if you wanted to like expand on that.
I mean, it's pretty difficult to express, but Cluck, you got the point. Cluck, you know what I'm talking about. It's about money.
Yeah,
we stream because we want money, right?
Right.
Eventually, whether it be super chats, whether it be advertisement, whatever it may be. The more people that you could get watching your stuff from the different places, the better, right? Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's about the bottom line. How many people can we get watching this stuff? Sure. And if I could get more people in the chat viewing the stuff, you see people love Syntax. You never know that people would love Syntax unless you got Syntax on your stream and gave him a chance.
Yeah, I think it's so smart, and I think like and Overzet does it in a way like with the not the birthday bash, Jesus, the bash show that he does. Yeah. But I think that's a great way, because like it gives face to the chat. It also gives the chat the experience of being like, oh shit, I'm on camera. This might be a little bit trickier than I thought it was. I think that's just like good to have. But again, like you never know what you're gonna get. You never know like the more opportunities people get the better. I think it's just good. It's just good getting all different types of people on stream. It's just better. It's better for people to see it. So I like you taking a little bit of that and bringing the chat onto stream. Yeah. So I guess like going back to the contest itself, is there like now having a few days to think about it, is there throughout the entirety of the contest, whether it was a specific challenge, approach, whatever, is there anything in hindsight you're like, oh man, I wish I would have approached this differently? Or is anything like that stood at you? You feel like good with what you threw out there?
Hell no, I don't feel good about it, bro. You always go back and look at the film.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be tough looking at yourself on film. And I second guess myself a lot. Oh, I wish I would have said that. Oh, I wish I would have spoke up on that. Oh, I wish I would have been more prepared in that debate challenge. I talked to Tony Squares the other day. Tony Squares had showed his setup before the debate. And it's simple things. I saw on Tony Squares' desk a notepad and a pen. If you're going to go into a debate, it's probably a good idea to have a notepad and a pen in front of you, right? That probably will help you out a little bit to remember the prompt, to remember to help with the rebuttal. And I'm like, I should have done that, you know? But looking back, I didn't. I'm just sitting here acting like I'm about to riff off of a debate when, actually, if you're going to debate somebody like you're in the court of law, you probably want to show up prepared.
I thought that was so fun too, because I said this to Overset in real time, where I was like, man, I don't know. I'm sure he is writing stuff down, but it also just looked like he's like, hey, I am not fucking around. It is debate time. And if you're gonna say something, he's like, okay, yeah, hold on, let me get back to that. And I was like, oh man, this dude is locked in. But yeah, and I was gonna, like, in that same line of thinking too, was there anything, like, was a lot of it in retrospect, you're like, oh yeah, that would have been a good move, but was there anything in real time when you were like, as the challenge was happening, where you're like, oh man, this isn't it for me, this wasn't the, because like sometimes when you're in the groove, the flow state, you're like, okay, I'm cooking, but was there a specific moment you can think of?
I was having an outer body experience. I could see, it's like being in stand-up and being on stage. You always hear the comics say it's like an outer body experience. They can see themselves bombing. Like I could feel and see. It was like I was standing right over there, and I could see and feel myself bombing. The room starts getting hot, palms start getting sweaty. I'm like, this ain't good, bro. This is not good. And then I got to go watch the film and remind myself of how poor it was, man. But that's the game, bro.
Yeah, and it's so funny you say that. One of the things that I've clocked about myself is that, because especially whether doing stand-up or performing or streaming, whatever, I am just a sweaty person. And if the sweat starts up here, I'm cooked. If the sweat is in the chest, I'm fine. I'm in a flow state. But if it starts on the forehead for whatever reason, that is a signal where it's like, oh, well, this is going to be a battle. This
ain't going good, man. I gotta fight through though.
I do think though, like, one of the cooler aspects of this whole show itself, I like, and especially for anybody that wants to continue streaming after this is over, it's like going through those experiences, because like whether you're in the flow state or the shit, like either way, you still have to complete the show. It's not like you can just pull the exit plug. And it's like, how do we? I think it's like almost a floor raiser, right? Where you're like, how do we get to the point where like my bad show is a B, right? Like, I think that's the goal, where like, because the bad shows start out and you're like, oh man, this is really terrible. But if we can like slowly raise the floor, and I think that looks different for everybody, but I do think that's the goal.
Yeah, and it's like we talked about earlier in the show, it's hard to slowly raise the floor when you came in the show as the number one seed.
100%.
Because you hit the ground like a rock, and then it's like being at the plate as an MLB batter.
Right.
You're in a slump.
Yeah.
And when you're in a slump, it's mostly up here, and it's hard to get back mentally right on being yourself, being witty, being quick, because now you're second guessing everything that you are thinking or processing in your head, because you're worried about what some of these chat rats are going to say about you during the premiere.
Yeah. Yeah, and I hadn't really thought about it like this, but you have to be able to have like the goldfish mentality of just like forget what just happened and do it again, while simultaneously remembering everything that has happened and to build off of that. And those two things are kind of at odds with one another. But you're right. Like if you are in a slump and you're like, okay, I need to be locked in, and they told me to be more myself. I wasn't myself in my last challenge, so now I
Yeah.
need to be myself. The second you're repeating that shit, it's game
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, you're pressing too hard. You're trying too hard. You don't you want it so bad that you have completely become somebody else. And
Yeah.
Peter Overzet had no problem breaking that down to me and mentioning it to me like, dude, these especially on the Schemer Streamers challenge and even on the debate challenge, man, you just didn't feel like Goofy Chicken. You weren't that person that was with Mitch in Atlanta. You weren't that person that sent in the intro video. And after going watching the film, I'm like, damn it, Peter, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think like one of the things too that I took from like auditioning when I used to audition or just like go out for stuff a little bit more frequently was like, okay, it's okay if I don't get this, but like I need to make sure it's just always the best representation of myself.
Right.
And maybe that's not what they want. But as long as I'm giving them what I know, the thing that I can do, then I can like live with that. And I thought a lot about that with this competition too, like when people get eliminated. Like I think like, yeah, it sucks if you don't get there, but as long as like throughout the entirety of the show, you're like, for the most part, people know who I am and what I'm about, and they know what they're getting. And that's why, again, I thought for both Nathaniel too, who's still in the competition, obviously, but for both of you guys, I thought that was just like a great representation of who you guys were in that after show. And I was like, yeah, man, I would tune into both of these dudes. This is good shit.
Yeah, appreciate that.
And I really like that. Well, okay, so I made you talk about some stuff that might have sucked while you were in the competition. What about, were there moments where you were like outside of the intro video? Because I do think everybody's pat you on the back enough for that. But like, were there moments where you were like, okay, I belong here. I'm cooking in this spot. Like this feels like a good showing of who I am.
Yeah, man. When Silva gave us that 10, nobody was expecting that, and I tried to break it down to the people on X. Like, Silva knows ball.
He does.
You can't feed him any more ball content than he already knows. And if you do feed him ball content, he probably is going to think he still knows more than you. And he might be right. So I tried to let the X know what we tried to do is give him an experience and have ball be the base. Mm-hmm. And it worked. It was a gamble, but it worked. And that was probably so you go from a 9.5 on the introduction video, then you get a 10 from Silva, and then you absolutely hit rock bottom. And I'm just like, bro, now you're in your head.
Yeah. But I do think too, man, you get to walk away from that being like, man, Silva saw my content and said it was good. And like that in itself is currency.
Yeah, I get it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you like was there a specific skill or anything from this experience that you were like, oh, I think I got a little bit better at this as we went along? Because it's kind of nuts now. This contest has been going on for what, like 5 or 6 weeks, I feel like.
Yeah, like I said, man, it's just all about preparation. You see the preparation that you need to put in to be a great performer or a great entertainer. You can't just go up there. We mentioned stand up a little bit. If you're going to go up there, you better write.
Yeah.
Because don't nobody want to see you come off the top of the dome for 5 minutes. It's not going to go good. Yeah. Or try to do crowd work for 5 minutes. They want to see your jokes. They want to see your set. So that's one thing is for me, get into some more writing, get into some more pre-planning when it comes to your shows, so that when it is time to cut the lights on and that red dot does flash, you're as prepared as you can be before you give yourself to an audience.
Yeah, and I mean now's the time to try stuff like that too, while you're slowly growing, like while you're getting your reps in. And I like that of just being like, okay, let's see what a pre-written version of this content looks like. Let's see. And maybe that's like too much. You're like, okay, maybe let me just have some bullet points of like, okay, these are the things I want to hit over the course of the next hour, which I like. And there's a way, I see a comment in there saying less script, more of you. But I do think there's a way, if you're doing it right, where you can like that. And again, I think Pete talked about this with some of the teleprompter type shit of just being like, how can I, like, you can script and be you, like that's the goal.
And I'm not saying it's scripted like you're reading a script from a. I'm talking about script. I'm even talking about bullet points, knowing what you're going to hit on throughout the show. I'm not saying it's like a Fox Theater or a Broadway play where you're reading line for line.
Yeah,
it's just you organizing your thoughts, putting them in bullet point format, and being a clear thinker while you're on stream.
Yeah. And that's something I've been doing every morning for the last like couple of years, of just being like, okay, here are the 6 things, or like, here are the 3 things I have to talk about today. Here are 5 more things that I could talk about, but then still allowing room for chaos, like letting the chat kind of dictate. If we find a fun thread, let's go follow that for a little while. And if we don't hit everything I had down, great, that's fine. But this gives me the opportunity to like have stuff planned so we can get there. Because I think like one other thing you kind of mentioned by getting there is there with this like side of the topic, I do think like this level of confidence while you're doing it goes such a long way. Like when the audience, and this is true for both stuff in like live stuff, both on stream, in video, whatever, if they know that you feel confident in what you're doing, that's like half the battle right there. They just want to know, they're like, oh, I'm listening to somebody that's in control of what's going on.
Yeah. Confidence is major. You saw yesterday's episode of So You Think You Can Tout. Tony Squares took a little bit of a hit on his confidence after his performance.
Yeah.
And it's the same. It's almost pretty much the same scenario. And I'm looking forward to see how he bounces back from this, because he's been at the top for about the past 2 challenges.
Yeah.
Now he kind of stumbled. He faltered. He hit the bottom. Now he's a pro, and I expect to see a pro action out of him pick himself back up and go back out there and keep doubting.
Yeah,
I mean dominating. Excuse me.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Where I was like, man, that it is probably so. Like, obviously, you feel great when the challenges are going well, and you're like, let's keep riding the wave, let's keep this momentum going. And then, but there's also that pressure of like, oh shit, I don't now. Everybody's rooting for me. And when that happens, that means people stop rooting for you. The second you become the favorite, they're like, well, who's the next underdog, man?
Yeah. The underdog always gets love. It's hard being at the top. It's hard staying at the top. And you've seen that several times over this competition. Like, it's been PPR, then it's been Goofy Chicken, then it's been Tony Squares. I hate to say it, Mike O'Hara, it's you, dog.
Yeah.
So like now all eyes are on you. The expectation is for you to keep doing what you're doing. So do that.
Speaking of, we got Nathaniel in the chat too, throwing a little love your way, Goofy. I did, yeah. Again, I loved that show. That episode was so fun. I really could have watched that for another hour. Like I really enjoyed how you guys were going back and forth.
Yeah, I made sure to give Nathaniel. I don't know if he was in here earlier, but Nathaniel, I shouted you out, man. It was great working with you, being on your team, and best of luck to you, man.
Did you you were mentioned Squares from yesterday? Did you take in any of the bash yesterday?
I was working. I didn't take in much of it, but I did go back for a second to see what Tony Squares was talking about. Was it as bad as he thought it was? And coming away with that, I even sent Tony a message, man. Dude, it was your first time running a underdog draft. To be honest with you, bruh, it takes a day, maybe 2 days to learn how to operate the tech on underdog fantasy. Right. So the next time, if he would have did it again, he would have been completely better. He knows how to get to the queue and then get to the draft board and then go to the chat. It takes literally 24 hours to learn that. And I don't.
Go ahead, my bad.
I don't want to see. I don't want to see a competitor get eliminated from the So You Think You Can Tout competition because he didn't know the mapping of a website.
Yeah, I do I still, and I haven't been doing it as much lately because basketball season's over, but I still forget to switch to the draft board when I'm streaming. I still do it until somebody in the chat is like, bro, we don't want to see just your team, man. Switch to the board.
Yeah.
I do it every time. It was, I didn't catch all of most of the bash that I got was from everyone's, testimonial video that they shared after. And I see Emo in the chat. Emo's made me think that maybe Overzet is doing this whole entire show so that everybody just says how good he is at it. Because that's what I feel like after everybody's testimony, will be like, man, it's just a reminder how dope Overzet is at this. And I was like, all right, let's chill.
Yeah. Hey, we like him, but hey, if you want to crown his ass, then crown his ass. But all right.
Do you have like a rooting interest the rest of the way?
Man, I don't, bro. I like all those guys. Yeah. You know, I know on show I thought that Tony Squares was going to, that was before he had his competition yesterday. I thought that he was going to just run away with it. But man, all those guys are good. Emo Cowboy is good. Emo Cowboy has a lot of experience. Emo, have you noticed this? Emo Cowboy is freaking everywhere. He's in this stream. He's probably in another stream. When it comes to making sure that you are seen in this community, Emo Cowboy does a great job at marketing himself. So he has a big following. The Toxic Tower is growing. Mike O'Hara, you at the top, bro. You got the juice now. I ain't trying to put no pressure on him, but what are you going to do with that? All right. Nathaniel keeps on rising. So he's rising, and you know it's like the stock market. You want to catch it. He's bullish right now, man. So and Mitch, like I said, Mitch is Mr. Extra Credit, and it seems like he came to Atlanta, bro. Like
that's crazy.
If you drive 10 hours from West Virginia to come to Atlanta to do 5 minutes worth of recording. Who wants it more than him?
I was almost hoping he had like a work thing that brought him there. I was like, I hope there is a secondary reason. And he's like, no,
hey,
man, just nothing
that he could write off. Nothing. just coming over here.
Oh, it's wild. We are at the point where everybody that's left is just good. So it's like it's really who's just going to do well in the specific challenges that allows them to advance to the next day. Because it's not like we're eliminating people that suck. Like, and that's been true for like the last 3 or 4 videos to or challenges. Like there's a lot of talent in this space, and it's been really fun again for me just as the observer to be introduced to these new content creators, whether they've been doing it for a while or just like Tony Squares is a great example of like this is his first kind of foray into the football space, but he's got this just massive following on Instagram over there for the reality stuff. But the community aspect of it has been really cool, just seeing everybody come together a little bit and both like compete for the thing, but also get some exposure and going back and forth on everybody's streams and shit like that. So what for you personally, like what do you want to see like from you and your channel, like for the rest of this as like best ball summer starts to pick up a little bit?
Yeah, man, just keep putting out content. You know, you'll see me and Syntax on there weekly. We got a big show coming up this Saturday, y'all. So let me go ahead and give me a second. Let me promo this for a second. Go for it. All right. Hey, on Saturday, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern, it will be myself, Goofy Chicken. It will be Syntax Legend, and it will be Kurt Rambis coming live to your screen on Saturday. So make sure you go over to the channel. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you click on those notifications and be there for what we are going to try to give you all a great show.
I love it. Here, I'm going to drop the link into the chat right now so people have it. Rambis is really making the rounds. I feel like Rambis has been on. He's like the guest with the most right now. I've seen him everywhere. I love it.
Rambis, he's a busy man. So he hit us up and was like, yo, I want to get on the show, because a lot of people were hyping up. They wanted to see Tex and Rambis on a stream together. So I got to sit in your chair on Saturday and try to host these two guys, man, and try to keep these wild boys under control.
Yeah, but I don't know if you own a referee jersey, man, but it might be time.
I might put it on for real.
Oh, I can't wait for that. That'll be a lot of fun. Have you been like what is your like content? Not strategy sounds obnoxious, but like are you mostly like streaming drafts? Is that the plan? Or you mess around with any other like angles?
Right now we're just streaming drafts, right? And let's be honest with you, streaming drafts can only get you but so far. I've been talking to Syntax. We gotta put out some we got to put out some long form content. I need to get into different social media spaces and put out clips on TikTok. If you're serious about it, Because if you want to build a following past 20,000, past it, you don't need any pub. But if you want to get on flock levels, then you have to put out more than just a couple of best ball streams weekly, you know?
Yeah, and the clips and shorts thing is such like a fickle beast too, because it's weird. Like you almost need the clips to do well on the other platforms, and because something I've like learned through YouTube is the shorts algorithm doesn't necessarily help your long form algorithm. They're almost like at odds with each other.
Yeah.
Which is such a frustrating thing because you can get so much exposure from the short form stuff. From the shorts, you can find all this whole new audience. But what we've learned is like people who consume YouTube shorts don't necessarily consume the long form stuff. They're just like, I'm a short form guy.
Yeah, and that makes sense, right? That's,
right.
If you catch them in the short form platform, they not coming over to watch you do 30 minutes of best ball talk.
Right.
So whoever figures that out, come send me a message so I know how to do it.
But then what ends up happening, right? They subscribe to the channel, but then the YouTube algorithm is like, wow, only like 15% of the people that subscribe to you are checking out your long form stuff. And then it suppresses the algo. And so it sucks.
They subbed, but they ain't watching.
Yeah. And then I was so pissed. This was like 2 or 3 years ago, but I was like grinding shorts on YouTube and the numbers were going way up, but then the long form stuff ended up suffering because of it. And I was so pissed at wasting my time. But I do think like they're still important. Like you said, that's how people find your stuff, whether you're just clipping YouTube shit and then putting it on X or Instagram or TikTok, whatever. That is, and one of the cool like aspects of some of the AI products that are out there now is if you are like a one-man show where you're, the on camera, but you're also producing and making thumbnail, all that stuff. They like, especially using StreamYard, you can kind of like generate the clips without having to have the full editing production. I know it's scary to say the editing word when we're talking about the So You Think You Can Tout contest. I don't want to make sure we piss anybody off in the chat with that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it makes life. StreamYard has really changed my content, and I ain't trying to give no StreamYard commercial because there's other people out there that do StreamYard, whatever. But at first I was working on OBS Studio.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know much about OBS Studio, but it's much more difficult than it is working on StreamYard. StreamYard, no tech paranoia, because you know that it's going to be pretty smooth. It's easy. All you got to do is send a link to your guest. Boom. You're there.
Right.
All right. So if we're talking about like I said, it's not a StreamYard commercial, but the process of streaming has gotten easier, and more and more people are going to keep getting into this. So man, good to get in early.
Well, you could tell too, StreamYard didn't. You could tell they've got competitors coming now because they didn't innovate for like 5 years. They didn't create a damn new thing for like 5 years, and then the last year they've added like 15 different features, and I'm like, they know some heat's coming, so they're like, we gotta adjust.
That's part of man. Heat's gonna be coming. It's capitalism. We need that. We need them to compete with somebody else on price too.
That's right. Anything else like if you were designing this contest, is there one challenge you would like to see here at the last? We got like a couple of episodes left. I feel like as we've gotten down to basically 5 guys, right? We're at 5.
Yeah. Peter mentioned this when he was talking to Kurt about the show and him not flying. I would love to see the last 2 contestants or the last 3 contestants get together in a true broadcast radio studio and have a live show. That would be awesome to see these guys face to face having a live show, whether it just be Pete and the final 2 doing some type of live format as the season finale.
Well, we know if Kamish is in it, he'll drive. Like no matter where it is, he'll drive. I love that idea. That's always the goal, is to be able to do this stuff in person with somebody. Like I had the the pleasure of hosting this co-hosting the show. This guy Trayvon Edwards when we were called Hoop Sense like a year or two ago, and we did it all in studio. And there is something like really like, yes, this is great with good chemistry here, having somebody in StreamYard, but there is something like special about doing it in person, being able to bounce off one another.
Yeah, size people up, see who they really are, hang out with them outside of when the recording is happening, because a lot of times having great chemistry with somebody that you're a co-host with is how you interact with each other when the red light is not on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, I feel like that's most of the work is like having that rapport with one another. Yeah, I got a question here from Emo, and I just want to we got a few more minutes, but if there's anybody else in the chat that has any questions for our guy Goofy Chicken, throw it in there right now. But Emo was saying, will Goofy enter season 2, and what would he want to see change next year as a viewer or a challenger?
No, Goofy will not be in season 2. Matter of fact, I don't think anybody who was in season 1 should be in season 2.
Ooh, I like
there should be a whole new flock of people. Now, that doesn't include the people who had submissions and didn't get past that doesn't include them. But anybody who got past the locks or contenders, you're done. All right. I'll say this about the bash. I don't want to be critical about the bash, but I would have liked to see, I didn't really enjoy seeing So You Think You Can Tout contestants on the bash. I wanted to see new faces.
100% agree.
I don't want to see PPR. I don't want to see no shots at PPR. I don't want to see PPR Tyler. I don't want to see BBC Chosen. I don't want to see Max Adams. I already saw. Yeah. I want to see people I ain't never seen before, and them have to go back and forth with people who they do not know, because that's what Peter does a lot of the times.
Yeah, and I know that Pete probably was like, I want this to be as true to what it normally is. So he's like, anybody can submit, and it's the luck of the draw. But I totally agree. Where I was like, I want to see randos. I want to see complete randos here. Totally agree with that. I also I love the take of like it should if you didn't get past the Mayo experience, you can't. You can submit, but everybody else you can't. The only caveat I would say is I would love if like episode 4, it's almost like a WWE type thing where the glass breaks and then, oh shit, that's Rambus music. And like you bring in a contestant from season 1 that all of a sudden gets thrown into the mix. I'd be okay with that. But I like this take.
I'm okay with a twist throwing Rambus in there, because really Rambus got the bad end of the stick, man. Alex Cups, he's great, but Rambus don't have no following. You looked at those votes for the Rambus versus Cups, man. 50 of those people in the comments were beautiful sorority sisters, man. they never watched no Pete Overzet content ever. They look too good. There was no way did they ever watch Peter Overzet's content.
I feel like you were kind of in a similar situation.
I don't want to talk about it. I was gonna say the book club was strong in the comments.
I think the Moms of Best Ball could be its own YouTube channel. I think.
I don't want to talk about it. Shout out to Nathaniel. I'm glad he's moving on.
Hey, no, right, and those are just the rules. That's the rules of the vote. Like it can happen. And I know Tony. He got some. I don't know if it was pushback. I forget how that came up, but the same thing. Like, why aren't you? Should you be utilizing the audience that you up? And it's like, yes, and yes, you should, but it also sucks.
I was talking to another contestant who was still sour. I'm not going to name any names, but he was still sour about getting eliminated. Mm-hmm. And it came up that maybe, because he says, what would I change next year as viewer or challenger? Maybe that at the very least, you should have to be subbed for your vote to count. Or be a member, or have some type of stock into the show, because some of these people that are voting are never going to give you a view. They never going to give you a like. They're there. They're a flash in the pan.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Like, and I'm sure. I wonder. Actually, I shouldn't say I'm sure. I wonder if Pete has the function on where you have to have you have to be subscribed in order to comment. I don't know if you can do that for like recorded videos, maybe just the live videos. But
and it's easy to sub, right?
Sure, right.
To make it fair, you'd have to be subbed for 24 hours or 48 hours before you could vote. But it's season 1,
Yeah,
and
right.
you know.
Yeah. All right. Anything else in the chat? We got our guy Lou saying the best stacks are made off the field. Iconic, iconic stuff there. And then we had Ghost Guard saying catching up with the PPR, taking the site credits didn't hurt him. They actually gave him a lifeline. PPR just got eliminated as bottom ranked. Yeah, I mean, yeah, actually, that's good segue just to say PPR is going to come on Sunday evening, I think at 7 p.m. Eastern, and we'll talk to PPR too. But I'm sure he'll have, I would imagine PPR, yes, that was like a fun twist that happened, but I'm sure he'll feel like that he was towards the bottom based on recent performance and based on what he knows he can do. Like, because I think we've also seen PPR, like you stated, right, was flying high early.
Yeah, I think he'll agree with that.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, so we dropped the link. We got the link in the chat for Goofy Chicken. You make sure give us the date of that stream you got coming to.
This Saturday, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern. Come on, check us out. We appreciate y'all.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to get to the people before we wrap here?
Yeah. Thanks for clucking with Goofy Chicken Fantasy. And if you ain't clucking with me, hey, man, cluck you.
Beautiful. Dude, thank you so much for doing this, man. I really appreciated getting to know you throughout the competition and the contest and being introduced to some of your content. It's been a lot of fun. Excited to tune in. And yeah, man, I would have lost some money because I think I had some hard-earned cash on you in this competition. But hell of a run, man. Hell of a run.
Yeah.
We'll be back on Sunday evening. We'll be back, and then I believe we'll get a new episode of So You Think You Can Tell early next week, and then we'll be back with some more exit interviews. But for Goofy Chicken, for myself, again, go sub, check out the stream on Saturday. We'll be back on Sunday. Thanks for hanging. We're out of here.